Welcome to the Hard Truth Podcast. This is Jeremy Fouts. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about breaking the cycle of fear. I don't know who you are listening, but I'm going to tell you that all of us have struggled with this. And today, coming up on the year of 2025, I want to do this episode because as I look back through my life, and the different businesses that I've ran and all the different challenges, I can tell you there's one thing that I was able to do that's helped me be where I'm at today, and that is called breaking the cycle of fear. See, as we're coming into 2025, and hopefully you're paying attention to this podcast and you're making goals for 2025 and you're excited about the new year and you're excited about being around the family for Christmas and celebrating the new year. But I'm going to tell you, you can make all the goals you want. But if you don't decide to break the cycle of fear, you're not going to accomplish those goals. 2025 is going to look a little bit about like 2022. Let's go! Let's talk about this. What is the cycle that we're going through here? It's the cycle that, number one, only you can break. It keeps so many people hostage. It keeps them living an average life and keeps them from becoming and doing what they was created to do, which is something amazing. So you are the only one that can break it. Let's start there. No one can do it for you. Now let's talk about this cycle and how it works. Here's how the cycle works. Fear, a little bit of it, leads into inaction. And then next, inaction leads to doubt. And then doubt leads to more fear. So you might be excited about 2025 and be saying, you know what? I'm going to be in the best shape of my life in 2025. Or I'm going to start a new business. Or I'm going to grow my existing business, or I'm going to do these different things. Here's what's going to happen. If you don't understand to break that cycle of fear, is you're going to start the 2025 season and a little bit of fear is going to creep in and you're not going to take any action. And then inaction is going to lead to, doubt. And then you're going to be thinking, could I really get into the best shape of my life? Could I really build a business? There's other businesses like that. Could I really grow my business to that scale that I need to grow it to? Because that's going to have me to do this or that or whatever. And then that doubt leads to more fear, which basically puts you in a state of paralyzation. So that's how the cycle works. Now, what are we going to do to get out of that and to break that cycle? Let's talk about that. See, that cycle just keeps going around and around and around if you don't figure this out. For most of us, it's the fear of unknown, the what ifs, the fear of failure, or what other people think or say about us is what keeps us into taking that first step. But here's the truth. Those fears are the exact reason most people never reach their full potential. So today, if you're sitting here thinking, but Jeremy, what if I do this and it don't work? What if, these other people make fun of me? They're going to make fun of you. They're going to laugh at you until you build such a big business that then they want to borrow money from you. And then they want to say you got lucky. And then they're going to want to say, if you get jacked, they'll say you're on steroids. If you lose a lot of weight because you're doing it on a good, clean diet and you're going to the gym and you're doing the things, they're going to tell you you're on a weight loss pill. That's life. That's people. If you buy a new house because you're successful in 2025, they're going to say you won the lottery or someone died and gave you the money. That's life. I've been working for my boys and trying to get them involved in social media, and even them, I can see their apprehension. They're like, what's my friends going to think if I'm posting this about baseball or lacrosse or whatever? And I'm really wanting them to get more involved in that because I want them to learn at a young age that hurt people try to hurt people, and that's just life. But what you can't do is you can't get brought up into this circle of fear and not take any action and then let it create doubt and let it create more fear because you're worried about what other people think. You're worried about not failing, worrying about failing. Guys, I've failed a lot in my business career. I failed a lot, but that's part of it. I learned a lot, and I took that knowledge and I built something else, and I built something bigger, and I built something greater. And those people that said he can't do it, you know what? I used that as fuel to fire me to go show them I could do it, because what matters is, do you believe in self, and is your purpose and reason big enough to go create a future that you want? That's as simple as that. Now, here's the good news. You have the power to break this cycle, but you can only do it through one thing, and that's called action. So the next time you feel creeping in a little bit of fear, the signal is to move. It's to take immediate, aggressive steps forward, and don't let that fear paralyze you. And why is that important? I would rather you make the wrong move, but move and learn from that, than sit here in fear and doubt, and it creates more fear. So when you are sitting in a situation where you're in fear, take action. Now, here's the reason. The more action you take, the less fear you feel. Excuse me. The more action you take, the less fear that you're going to feel. So when you take action and you say, well, I don't know if it's best to do the carnivore diet, or I don't know if it's best to lift weights, I don't know if it's best to run, I'll give you my opinion: more protein and more moving weights. That's my opinion if we're talking about nutrition and getting into shape. But the biggest thing is, do something. And you know what? If you're moving in the right direction, or if you say, you know what, I want to build a business, and, I'm making these phone calls and I'm not seeing the results. If you keep taking action, you're going to see some hope. You're going to get some feedback that it gets you excited, and you're going to start thinking that doubt is not that big of a deal, because you know what? I made these calls and it's turning into excitement because if I make more calls, then I'm going to get a little bit more excitement. But the biggest thing is, don't stay still, take more action. Doubt fades and confidence grows when you're in motion. But standing still, that's where regret lives. And you don't want to live a life of regret. Take action, don't stand still, and keep moving. And let me remind you of something here. We don't like to think about it, but we all have an expiration date. And when the time comes, do you want to look back on your life and think, I could have been great? I could have been, someone amazing. I could have done these things I wanted to do, but I was scared to try. There was a time in my 30s, and I'll never forget this. I've had one experience in nutrition and direct sales at one time, and had some success, but I didn't really make millions, several $100,000 a year. And I caught myself in a situation in 2008 when the economy crashed, and my wife and I owned a construction company that had done really well for several years, and had a 2-year-old son, another son coming on the way, and went through a situation where we were struggling cash flow. Had some people that owed me a lot of money for some jobs, and was trying to collect money. And I don't want to bore you with all the details, but I was at the low part of my life, and I was introduced to another opportunity. And I'll never forget letting that fear of thinking, you know what if I choose to pursue again another business in sales and nutrition, and what if it don't turn out like I want again? What if I go out and tell people that I'm going to do this and it don't happen? But I broke that cycle of fear, and I looked at my wife and I said, in 4 years we'll never have to worry about money again. And I let that excitement of me making a promise and doing it. And yes, did I have a lot of no sayers? Yes, 100%. But I become that person that I needed to be. I become, that leader that I knew I had to be. I let that be fuel, and I pushed myself to change my life forever. Because here's the thing, I did not want to come to the end of my life and think, what if? All of us have that expiration date. We don't know when that time is. But I'm going to tell you, you do not want to live an average life. You do not want to always worry about finances. You do not always want to worry about, what you look like with your shirt off. You don't want to always worry about, why are my relationships not like they need to be? Don't let that be your story, the story of regret. The biggest regret in life won't be failing. It'll be never trying. So let me ask you this. Forget everyone else's expectations for a moment. Forget their opinions and ask yourself, what do I want? What kind of man do you want to be? That's all it comes down to. Forget about everyone else's expectations. Oh, little Johnny, I expect him to do this, or I expected him to do that. Don't worry about that. Forget their opinions. What do you want? What kind of man do you want to be? The choice is yours. Break the cycle. Take action. Live without regrets. And most importantly, don't wait till January 1. It starts today. In close, the hard true fact is a quote that I read in a book probably 30 years ago. No, 20 years ago. I'm not that old yet. I'm 48. So, yeah, about 20 years ago that said this. And I've tried to remember this quote, and it's actually written down in one of my notebooks here in the office, my journals. Every man dies, but not every man lives. And then the other part that goes to that is the most important thing a soldier can take into combat is a reason why. So know what you want. Know what kind of man or woman that you want to be. And realize every man dies, every woman dies, but not every man or woman lives. Do you really want to live? When I launched the company Core Vive, the reason I come up with that name, I believe in taking care of the core. Vive means in French, living life. And I've had the opportunity to travel and do business over 15 different countries. And it didn't matter what country I was in, I heard the excuses. Oh, around here, there's not a lot of money. Oh, around here, yada, yada. You all have a chance to be that man or woman that you want to be. What is it that you want? And do you take a good reason in going into this combat that we call life? Have a great holiday. Thank you guys for joining me on the Hard Truth Podcast. Continue to share. The podcast is growing quite a bit, and I'm very excited about that because I feel like we can make an impact in others. That's why I started this podcast. I don't do any ads or bore you with anything that is not necessary. I try to deliver a message that, thinking back through when I was going through those struggles in life, what message would I need to hear? And the message that I'll tell you that I struggle with a lot of times is breaking that cycle of fear. So share with a friend or a family member this podcast. Thank you for listening. Happy holidays for 2024, and I'll see you next Friday as we prepare for 2025. Let's go!